Hello, middle school students. Today we are working on our final acrostic poem. The first thing you want to do is either open a Google Slide or a Google Doc. I'm going to show you how to do both projects, both in slides and in docs. First, I'm starting out in Google Slides. I want to retitle my project our acrostic poem final project. And then I need to get rid of everything that I see on the first page so that I can insert everything very easily. So you are going to do a two-finger click and get the pop-up menu that says delete. If you wait until your cursor is not an arrow, but you want it the 4 arrows and then click, it will allow you to delete the box. You can also use the backspace key. Now I'm going to insert from my main menu, image from Google Drive. I'm going to select my pumpkin and click insert down at the bottom. I'm going to use the handles on the corners only of my picture. If I grab the sides, it makes my pumpkin look weird. Please don't grab from the top, bottom, left, or right sides. Only use the corners to resize your images. Then you can kind of place them wherever you want. I'm going to keep inserting images until I have all of the photos that I need to use for this assignment. I'm just going to click on some pictures here. I don't have all of mine at the ready right now, so I'm going to get them about the same size as I'm resizing them and keep clicking insert from Google Drive. And then resize my images so they're about the same. If you notice, when you get all of your images in a row, there's a red line that pops up right underneath the images. It lets you know that they're in line with one another. So you can also do that from the top. And you can notice that my lines show up there. They're blue at the top when you're pulling down from the top and red when you get from the bottom. So I'm going to keep inserting just so people with longer words can understand how to do this. Oh, that's not the image I want. Try and find some more here. Sorry, I didn't have everything prepared in one place. We'll just use this image. Just so you guys have an idea of what the images should be. There's my red line that popped up, so I can let go of my mouse. And again, okay. Now I have all of my images that I want. They're a little small, so if you wanted to, you could spread them out across the top of the page. Or if you want them to be vertical, like they were in the original example that I showed you in the PDF, you will have to shrink them down even smaller. You can see my red lines popping up. That tells me when things are aligned, centered. And you want them to be about the same size, but I realize that some of you may have pictures that will not align perfectly. That's okay. Just do your best. And then I can fit even one more image in here. Try and make them spaced out. Now I'm going to select the first one, come up to my toolbar and go to border weight and change the weight of the border that's going around my image. This is an optional step. If you're really trying to get that E in art instead of just an M, you might want to go ahead and change the border so it looks like a framed photo. Now I'm realizing that some of my pictures aren't small enough because they're overlapping. I really want to be able to see that whole image without overlapping the one above or below it. So I might have to shrink this one down a little bit more, and maybe this one. And it's going to take some time to kind of play with it and get everything right where you want it before you move on. Sometimes the arrow keys on your keyboard allow you to move things a little bit easier, but they do kind of jump around sometimes. So let me get my last border on here, change the color, and shrink it down just a little bit. Now I have all of my letters, but I need to type in my poem. So I'm going to insert a text box. You can make one giant box. Type your words. Typed in some words. So if each line is a sentence, you want to put a period at the end. If it's just one word, which many of you had, like your first letter was A and your word is art, you don't have to put a period at the end. It's just a word. So you can just write it like that. Now, my text is very small and every line is not aligned with what I have on my photographs. So I want to make this text a lot bigger. So I'm just going to go over here and do that. You can also type in a font number if you know what size you need it to be. So I'm going to get this really, really big, but I got to make sure it fits on one page. So there it just dropped down. I'm going to pull this up. Okay, it works, but my matters word went over to the side. So I'm going to try and stretch this to the left. Now all of my lines are perfect. Then I can stretch this down. And I'm going to highlight all of my words and change the spacing so that my pictures line up with each line on my poem. So it should be A, art is awesome, E, everyone matters, E, exceptional artist, and P, people are great. I hope that makes sense. So if you want to do it like this, that's perfect. You can enter an individual text box for each line of your text if that's easier. Or you can have all of your photos go horizontally across the top of your page rather than putting them down the left side vertically. So if I wanted to do that, I would just move my images. I realize they're all a little small, so I'm going to click and drag over top of all of my images, use that corner handlebar and stretch them out. So my text is really big, so I'm going to select all of it, and let's bump this down to 24 for the time being, so I can see it all on one page. Now, if I like the way that looks, I can go over to a line and just center it and leave it as is. If I want to change something in this, I can always go change the font, make it something different, maybe even make it a little bit bigger so it's visually easy to read and see. And if you really, really want to, you can even change your text color. You do have to select all of your text. And if you're wondering how I do that so fast, it's the Control A button, push them at the same time, or Control first, then the letter A, and it will highlight all of your text. This is an option as well. So after I'm finished, make sure I change the title of my document and then I can share it on Google Classroom. Please don't click the share button because that does not put the document back in Google Classroom. Okay, same assignment, different format. Here, we're going to change the title. So I made it Final Acrostic Poem Project in this one. I'm going to go to Insert, Image, from Drive. Again, same thing, click on your image, click the Insert button. Uh-oh, didn't show up. Sometimes we have technical difficulties and we just have to start again. Just try it again. It should. Oh, there it is. Okay, grab that corner handlebar. Remember, only shrinking things from the corners, not the sides, not the top and bottom. Insert all of the images that you need for your assignment. So this one's really big, so I've got, let me hide that. Shrink this down. Keep shrinking it. Okay, now you might realize, where's that first picture at? Well, it got put underneath this one. So I'm going to hit the Enter button, and then I'm going to insert that first image again. because it did not stay. It got buried underneath the other one. So I have to reinsert it. I'm going to click next to my image so that the blue box disappears, and then I'm going to push enter before I insert my next picture. That's important because that's how you're going to know that. I'm sorry, I've got all these images that have popped up now. I was looking for my pumpkin. There it is. You know that your images will end up one on top of the other rather than them all being next to each other or covering each other up. I know that's been an issue with some people and they haven't been able to figure that out. So now I would write my poem. Everyone is awesome. Art is the best. And pumpkin weather. Okay, there's my poem. This doesn't look great, and I would say the biggest problem I would have with this visually is all of my text is kind of all over the place. So I'm going to kind of scooch this stuff out, just pushing the space bar, or you can use the tab button. Now, if you want to add a border to this, you're going to click on it until all of your little blue boxes appear, and then go up to the top, just like you would in Google Slides, and change the border weight. Again, you can change the color. I'm going to click on the next image, change my border weight, change the color, and then click on my last image, border weight, and color. There's my poem. Is it done correctly? Absolutely. Is it the size I want the text to be? No, I'm going to make that bigger so it's visually easy to read. I'm going to change my font and maybe even my font color. Then I have to, this is just me being picky with myself. I like to line everything up. So I'm going to do it like that. And there's my finished product. Either way you decide to do this, either in Google Docs or Google Slides, you can move your images across the top. I'm not going to show you how to do it because it's essentially the same thing as you would do in Google Slides. You just have to use your backspace key to move your images around. I'm going to put this one up here like that. And then I would take all of my text and use the center button so that everything's nice and aligned in the middle. That's still not centered. That's because I put all those spaces in there, so I need to delete those out. Sometimes those hidden things like spaces really mess with everybody. So center is right here. If you wanted it to all be over to the right, you would push that, so on and so forth. I hope this helps everybody kind of know how to work with images inside of Google Docs as well as inside of Google Slides. I hope you guys have fun with this. See ya.